Welcome to Real Estate and Taxes with Lakshay. I will be helping you minimize your taxes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to my Tuesday session on real estate and taxes. And today we're going to be talking about, is it profitable to buy a home or a business for $800,000? So today in the agenda, we'll cover the cost of business versus the cost of home for $800,000. We will also be talking about 5 different businesses to compare with the home purchase price of $800,000 and what is the net result. We'll also be making one key assumption that the cost of financing the business is really depending on how much money you put as a down payment. We will be wrapping up today's presentation with observation followed by conclusion and some Q&A. Let's compare a home versus an automotive business for $800,000. So under a home which is located in Toronto downtown, 2-bedroom, 2-washroom, it's going to cost you roughly $800,000. If you were to rent this home right away, you'd be looking to collect a rent between $3,000 to $3,500. But if you look at the expenses, you would have to pay mortgage and rent for $4,500. You're going to have to pay property taxes for $350. You're going to have or maybe management fees. You're going to have utilities for $250. You have insurance for $100 per month. Your phone and internet. So your total expenses will be $5,360, whereas your net profit will actually be a net loss, which is roughly $2,300. Not that appealing, right? Now let's look at a business which is costing $800,000. For a business that is costing $800,000, we have picked a location from North York who is selling their automotive business. They're not doing any body work, but they clock in roughly $100,000 a month. Yes, you heard it right. $100,000 in gross sales a month. And then when it comes to the expenses, you will have rent of roughly $15,000 a month, your utilities of $2,000, your salaries of $20,000. You would also have some general and admin expense related to POS terminal, repairs, ordering parts, another $10,000. You have another insurance of $500. Maybe this can be revised upwards, but you have WSIB. You would have phone $110, internet $150, other expenses and parts that you might have to purchase, and equipment another $18,000 a month. So your total expenses for the month would be $65,000. So $100,000 income, $65,000 expense, and you're looking at roughly $34,000 in net profitability. If you compare the home versus the business, clearly the winner is business over here because $34,000 is not chump change and this is positive cash flow. So what is something that anyone can do? So I've covered a second business. This second business is convenience store. If you look at the convenience store versus the home, you can look at the convenience store is roughly making $58,000 a month. The rental income and expenses stays the same that we discussed in the previous slide. You were looking at a negative cash flow of $2,300. So if you look at the monthly income for a convenience store that was located in Etobicoke, they were doing roughly $58,000 a month in gross sales. When we look at the expenses, they had rent of $3,000, $350 utilities, salaries of roughly $10,000 for 2 employees or 2.5 employees per se, general admin of $400, food costs, groceries, which is roughly 50% of the gross sales, $29,000, phone and internet and other expenses, all adding up to $43,000 and change. Now, if you look at the top line, which is $58,000, you have $14,000 and you have $43,000 worth of expenses. Your net profitability is roughly $14,894, which is technically $15,000. If you were to invest in a home, you're negative cash flow. But if you're looking at a business right now, you'll be, counting money, right? It's a great business to be in. Let's look at a business which is a little bit more affordable, which is an Indian restaurant for $30,000 or $50,000 in Brampton. For that business, if you were to do the math, the monthly income right now is $45,000. When it comes to expenses, they have monthly rent of $5,200, property taxes, utilities. The big ticket item is salaries, which is $15,000 for multiple people. There's general admin, which is your POS terminal fees, your WSIB insurance for employees, which is $500. Food and grocery costs roughly 20% of the top line, which is $13,500 in this scenario. The phone, internet, other expenses, all adding up to roughly $1,000. And then total expenses is $37,651. Even in this model, you have $45,000 of income and $37,000 of expenses. That means you're left with roughly $7,300. So all in all, if you were to compare the restaurant versus the home, the restaurant is again clear winner. Dry cleaner is another great business. In this scenario, the dry cleaning business is roughly on sale for $270,000. The monthly income for the dry cleaning store is roughly $20,000 a month. Now let's look at the expenses. The expenses would cover your rent of $3,700, your utilities of $400, your salaries for 2 employees roughly for $8,000, your ads, your general admin, insurance, phone, internet. All in all, you would be spending roughly $12,500 to run the show, and your net profitability, so your $19,000 or $20,000 income minus $12,500 worth of expenses would leave you with $6,700. So another great business, good profitability. If you compare it to the home is still sitting at negative $2,300, whereas the business is giving you a lot of profitability, which is $6,700. Now, if none of these things add up to your budget and you only have maybe $120,000 in pocket that you want to invest, then you can simply look at a pizza store, which is on sale for $250,000. Now let's look at the financials for this pizza store. From the income perspective, you're roughly making around $32,000 a month from the collection of income. You have monthly mortgage and rent of roughly $4,700, utilities of $1,000. You have a few employees, maybe $9,000. You have ads, general admin, and insurance of roughly $1,500 in total. You have food and groceries, which is roughly 20% of the cost of the top line, which is $8,000 in this scenario. You have phone, internet, other expenses, and all in all, you'll be looking to dish around $24,500 in terms of total expenses. So if you look at that $32,000 of top line income, $24,000 of total expenses, you would be left with roughly $7,500. So lower loan, lower financing cost, but you have greater benefit when it comes to investing in a business. So all in all, if I were to conclude, on average, any business in Canada would give you from 15% to 25% net profitability. Get your family members to be involved in the business, you can easily walk away with a lot more money. Small businesses usually do require attention. I'm not going to lie to you. If you think your small business is going to be absentee owner and going to flourish on its own, that is not the case. On average, for a fast food restaurant that is doing $500,000 in gross, they are left with nothing at the end of the year. So in order to make more money, you need to have a lot more than maybe you need a sale of roughly $2,000 a day, right? In order to do a fast food and come out as a winner. On $2.5 million of gross sales, you'd not be left with a lot of money. And any money that you make from $2.5 million to $3 million, that is where your economies of scale is. So highly recommend, whenever you're looking to buy a business, reach out to our team. We'll be more than happy to do the due diligence and see if that is a business that you should be looking into buying or not. Thank you once again for joining in. Really appreciate everyone's time. We'll see you next week on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Thank you.